fuck, dude, airports are always just fucking crazy. Like,
yo, dude, super crazy. You remember last time one time we were in an airport and you were just clipping your toenails at the gate?
Hey, dude,
like,
I wasn't clipping my toenails at the gate.
It's the wild goddamn West.
It was. My eyes are itchy.
Why?
Okay.
Don't know. Allergies? I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
Itchy as fuck.
Wait, are we starting with that?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. This is important medical stuff.
It's medical related.
You need to give me some sort of content that I can use for the thumbnail now and a title, and this now has to be a bit. So
Okay.
What do you got?
You know
Well, here,
what?
I got something for you. I'm itchy too. You know what's itchy? You know what I'm itchy?
I hope.
Where I'm itchy?
Wait,
in
itching to
your
get into
genitals.
You know,
you have a
itching to get
genital
in-
itch.
to a topic. for
Hey,
today?
itching to get to the episode, but also my butthole is itchy. Hey, but I am itching to get to this fucking craziness coming out of the New York Times and pretty much everywhere.
Itching to be bitching.
I don't know if this means that there potentially has been a cure to a cancer found,
Oh yeah,
but
crazy.
it sure sounds something like it.
Pretty promising.
I've heard about this. Like
Yes.
it's in the medical sort of like new. It's running the medical news front page headlines right now.
Yeah.
It's colorectal cancer, right?
That's right. It was a
Uh-huh.
small trial with just 18 rectal cancer patients, every one of whom took the same drug. Okay. But the results were astonishing. The cancer vanished in every single patient, undetectable by physical exams, endoscopies, PET scans, or MRI scans.
Whoa.
Yeah, and everybody.
Yeah. Dr. Louis
Crazy.
A. Diaz Jr. of Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, an author of a paper published Sunday in the New England Journal of Medicine, describing the results, which were sponsored by the drug company GlaxoSmithKline, said he knew of no other study in which a treatment completely obliterated a cancer in every patient.
Yeah.
Man, that is crazy. The one thing that
The skepticism was about the size of the trial because it was so small.
18
it was so
people.
people, but
But the fact that all
everybody-
18, like
Yeah.
that's wild.
the thing that I immediately think of is like all of the people who are living with cancer right now, and like how hopeful this news would
Yeah.
be, but also how like the trial was successful, but now all of like the red tape and sort of subsequent trials that will have to happen.
Well, it's like I don't know if you guys remember this, but like
COVID.
No. Like 5 years ago, maybe there was I think it was while we were doing this podcast. Maybe it was before, but I'm pretty sure it was during the time. But there was a kid. I think he was from Toronto, and he was doing his like high school science fair
on CF.
and he did it on CF, and he basically
dude, that was
this
like
child.
that was the year we met.
Yes, and the kid basically like
12 years ago.
came up with the concept of like modulator drugs. And I don't know where, like, man, we should really look into that kid again, because if he played an integral role in things like Orkambi and Kalydeco and Trikafta, like that kid's fucking doing something. You know?
Do you guys think this is maybe a bit of maybe I'm putting on my tinfoil hat for this one a little bit, but do you think with
Please
a kid
do.
that young, do you think that perhaps a parent or relative or somebody was actually the person who's the brains behind this, but
and putting
in
the kid
order-
out there so that like
marketing,
Pfizer
right?
kills him, the kid, and not the brains? Dude, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. It's
Yeah, I'm
'cause
with
it's
you,
risky.
dude.
It's
Yeah.
risky to come forward.
Yeah, you don't want
with
to be
a
coming
cure
forward with a cure.
because
No.
big pharma, they'll
Yeah.
fucking take
They
you
will
out.
take
And
you
that's
out.
why, like, this is what's the great filter.
Yes.
This is like the great filter for all these
Yeah,
drugs and
yeah.
research is that they just murder
Yeah.
people who are coming forward with the cures.
100%.
But actually, like, do you think not actually, but is it possible that his parents were like, hey, it would be better for marketing this drug if we were like, our son came up with this?
I mean, not possible. It's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Because he's a kid. Like there's no fucking way a kid is that smart.
What were you guys doing when you were 16?
Fucking trying to touch a boob and like
Touching
throwing rocks
boobs.
at cars.
Yeah.
Like that's literally it.
Throwing rocks
Yeah.
at cars. Dude, you're so Sackville.
Yeah, man.
So Sackville. We threw
so-
snowballs at cars.
Dr. Diaz
You did,
said, I believe this is the first time that this has happened in the history of cancer. Dr. Alan P. Venuk, a colorectal cancer specialist at the University of California, San Francisco, who is not involved with the study, said he also thought this was a first. A complete remission in every single patient is unheard of, he said.
You should set up a Google News alert with this guy's name so that we
Yeah.
can see if he mysteriously vanishes in the next few
Yeah.
months.
Yeah. These rectal cancer patients had faced grueling treatments, chemotherapy, radiation, and most likely life-altering surgery that could result in bowel, urinary, and sexual dysfunction. Some would need colostomy bags. They entered the study thinking that when it was over, they would have to undergo those procedures because no one really expected their tumors to just fucking vanish. But they got a surprise. No further treatment was necessary.
It's wild to think of that though, because this past week was Brandon Thomas's birthday.
Yes.
And so it's been 4 years since he passed away.
Yeah. For people who
2018,
don't
yeah.
know, new listeners, Brandon Thomas, a good friend of ours. We had him on the show when he was just a wee little tot and became very close friends with him. He eventually passed to his cancer.
And so I think of the times when he went to the States for these like trial to receive like experimental trial medications, and like being part of a test like that is like, that's your hope. Like,
Totally.
like it's so unlikely because it's never been done before yet. Is it possible that one of these drugs will eventually?
But the interesting thing
and-
about this one, I believe, is that it was specifically done with people who like weren't so far down the rabbit hole of like chasing hope.
right?
You know, like they hadn't gone through every option and were just going, well, they weren't at the point where it's either an experimental drug works or I die. They still had the the surgery options and like that.
Mhm.
That was still in front of them. And this was something that I think was specifically designed, or in the trial was designed to take it before they got to that place where they had to go
Right.
through all of these really invasive surgeries and treatments and stuff, which even kind of says more about it, that it's not something that you take when all else
All
fails,
hope is lost.
but
yeah.
it's something that you could take. You know, I mean, again, it's a small trial and they're going to have to replicate it over and over again. And it's probably going to be years before you see it. We see it used for a colorectal cancer in a hospital setting. But it does have similar feelings to Kaleido.
Yes.
Whereas Kaleido was for a specific mutation of CF, which was like
I wouldn't be able to take.
Right. You couldn't take it. Wasn't going to help you, but it helped this like subset, and it was laying the foundation for what would become Trikafta, which you can take.
Another surprise in this whole thing, Dr. Vanuk added, was that none of the patients had clinically significant complications. So on average, 1 in 5 patients have some sort of adverse reaction to drugs like the one the patients took, dostarlimab, known as checkpoint inhibitors. The medication was given every 3 weeks for 6 months and cost about $11,000 per dose. It unmasks cancer cells, allowing the immune system to identify and destroy them. While most adverse reactions are easily managed, as many as 3% to 5% of patients who take checkpoint inhibitors have more severe complications that, in some cases, result in muscle weakness, difficulty swallowing, and chewing. The absence of significant side effects, Dr. Vanuk said, means, quote, either they did not treat enough patients or somehow these cancers are just plain different. In an editorial accompanying the paper, Dr. Hannah K. Sanoff of the University of North Carolina's Lindbergh Comprehensive Cancer Center, who was not involved in the study, called it, quote, small but compelling. She added, though, that it is not clear if the patients are cured. Quote, very little is known about the duration time needed to find out whether a clinical complete response to dostarlimab equates to a cure, she said in the editorial. So that's, I mean, fuck,
crazy.
man. It would be, we're like, we could be on the cusp of something. And, you know, it's like when you have something like this, for something so specific to colorectal cancer, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a researcher. I'm not a doctor. But
Let's hear your take, though.
my guess would be that it would, if this works this way, that this opens the doors to use similar techniques or similar tactics to battle other types of cancer.
For
right?
sure, dude. It's like it makes me think of like solving a Sudoku.
Yeah.
Yes.
It gets easier to solve the Sudoku when you get more numbers.
Yes.
Like you get one number and then it's like, oh fuck.
Or
well,
Wordle.
now this opens up a bunch of other paths or possibilities.
But the shitty thing about Sudoku is if you make one wrong move and you make other decisions based off that wrong move, and you only realize that many moves down the line,
you're fucked.
then it becomes very hard to recognize where you made the wrong move.
Then you're riddled with cancer.
Exactly. And then everyone has cancer. You know, putting the tinfoil hat back on for a second here in terms of cancer.
Here we go. Yeah, here we go.
Guys, if there's one thing that I would be tinfoil hatty about, it's finding a cancer cure.
I know.
Because it is,
there's a lot of money made in cancer.
The machine of cancer.
Yeah.
There's so many cancers and we can't cure really any of them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there are cancers that are like, that's a good, quote unquote good cancer. Like we have a lot of tools to combat them, but all the tools cost money. Like there's so much money in cancer.
But the cost that a patient, taxes the healthcare system and the government, like, I think like the pharmaceutical companies are going to go, we don't want to cure. Well, I think the government's going to be like, but we want to cure.
I think it'd be less of a problem.
We're going to see like a civil war between
them. I think it'd be less of a problem in Canada.
Corporations and the man.
But I think it would be a problem in the US.
The man and the man.
Yeah.
Because like it's such a business. It's such a business.
That's a movie right there. But the man versus the man.
But it's interesting
government versus pharmaceutical companies.
Because like with any innovation, like really the answer is if you don't change, like there's always that sort of challenge in sort of getting to the change, like the resistance to get to the change. But like if you don't reskill workers or reskill or retool the purpose of these organizations, like think of like the Canadian Cancer Society, for example. Imagine cancer is fully cured and eradicated. Like what happens to that organization?
A lot of jobs lost.
Well, it's possible that people still get cancer and are diagnosed with it and are then cured, but then there could be like an emotional toll of like even just getting that diagnosis and dealing with it. And so
but the emotional toll would change when it's not going to kill you anymore.
That's possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fuck it. I'm putting my tinfoil hat on with you.
But it is a lot. I could see it being similar to the way that it's so hard to get away from oil and gas. It's like, we know it's not great. We know it's, where the analogy doesn't line up is that cancer isn't useful. Whereas oil and gas is useful.
It is to Vertex.
Right, yeah, right. It's useful to pharmaceutical companies. But like oil and gas is so hard to get off of, even though we know it's bad, because it's such a gigantic part of basically everybody's economy.
That's where the money comes in, though, right? The money comes in with the cure. So they're going, oh well, we cured the cancer, so
you got to just make money off that. You got to make the cure really expensive.
We're going to make the cure really expensive.
Okay,
it's like Trikafta.
Yeah,
they're going, hey, we're not going to cure CF,
but Trikaftas must be expensive because there's not that, even though CF is common. There's not that many people that got CF.
But then why don't they just take those people?
CF actually isn't common. It's the most common genetic disease in children, but it's actually a rare disease.
So why wouldn't they just be like, okay, Canadian Cancer Society, you are now going to help with diabetes, and just like that whole thing just like
we need to shift,
slides over.
We need to retool you into
extra people solving the Sudoku, and it'll happen faster, right?
Check this shit out. This is cool too. Talking about the medical advancements. This is a 3D printed ear made of human cells. It's a cute little ear.
Think about how many fighters.
I saw the Jerry News thing on this, man. This is crazy.
Yeah. So this is a 20-year-old woman who was born with a small and misshapen right ear, has received
misshapen.
Misshapen right ear, has received a 3D printed ear implant made from her own cells. That the manufacturer announced on Thursday. Independent experts said that the transplant, part of the first clinical trial of a successful medical application of this technology, was a stunning advance in the field of tissue engineering. I love that it's her own cells. That's really neat. The new ear was printed in a shape that precisely matched the woman's left ear, according to 3D Bio Therapeutics, a regenerative medicine company based in Queens. The new ear transplanted in March will continue to regenerate cartilage tissue, giving it the look and feel of a natural ear, the company said. It's definitely a big deal, said Adam Feinberg, a professor of biomedical engineering and materials science and engineering at Carnegie Mellon University.
Guys,
Dr. Feinberg, who is not affiliated with 3D Bio, is a co-founder of Fluid Form, a regenerative medicine company that also uses 3D printing. He says, quote, "It shows the technology that this technology is not an if anymore, but a when."
Guys, is this now like if this is commercialized, is this just turning everybody into Mr. Potato Head? Like, can we just start like
we could
plug and playing like whatever sort of different ornamental
you don't
facial
like your
feature
nose?
you want?
Lop the fucker off. We printed one for you, and it's a better shape.
Yeah, but we already do that shit.
We do, yeah, but yeah.
But not with like the whole thing, you know?
And not with 3D printing. We do that with like doctors that like, man, have you seen some nose job videos? It's wild what they can do.
Like,
and you can't even tell.
Like elective nose jobs or like necessary?
No, like elective.
And you mean like, have you watched the procedure or the before and after?
No, I'd like to see the procedure because the before and after is what blows me away, because you look at these faces and you go, how on earth did they do that without leaving scars? Like, is that all internal? Like, they're not cutting on the outside.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? Like, how are they shaping those noses?
A nose is a really defining facial feature too, right? Like it can really, like, your nose can change.
Yeah.
Well,
totally
you see, like nose jobs,
nose
noses are typically like very sharp. They've got a sharpness to them.
Well, I've seen some that don't have that look. You know what I mean? Because I saw this video the other day. It was like before and after, and it was like it was in particular, it was women, and it showed two of them, and they had like quite long noses. And like before, and then they got them shaped up, and it was like this little petite nose, but it didn't have that like Michael Jackson point, you know?
Well, because when you can make
that's
such
a weird look.
Because I think what's really hard is if you get in like an accident or something, and you have a trauma, and you need like a reconstructive surgery on your nose, for example, you like the trauma is like, it's like an explosion on your face. Whereas in a surgery setting, the cut that you're making to do that work is like with a scalpel that is so sharp that those separations, like where the skin separates, like I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. It's like when somebody gets a C-section, it's like you can't see where somebody
maybe they go in through the nostril.
I think they do it through. Yeah, I think it's internal. I think it's like about breaking bones and shifting cartilage on the inside.
You got to shave bones too and shit.
Yeah, I'm sure they can do on the inside.
That's crazy.
I mean, I don't know. But
Brian said this. We were talking about this the other day when we were in the hot tub the other day. You said something. We were talking about something, and you were like, maybe it was Dennis and I, something along the lines of like how the future of being able to like regenerate and bubble and grow a limb, grow an ear, and I think we were talking about me getting hit by a car maybe, and I was like, and we were like, we already do basically.
Yeah, well,
we really do regenerate.
I think
incredibly well.
I think one of you guys posted this in the Slack when this article came up. But you mentioned, why did the guy have the dick grown on his arm that we talked about a few weeks ago?
Yeah,
when you can 3D print this
now
shit.
we can 3D print it. Yeah.
Dude, you know,
I
like
that wasn't available.
You know when you get like when you get a product and it's like the newest product, but you were totally unaware that company is about to launch a new version of that in like 2 weeks, and you had no idea, and then you see it and you're like, oh fuck, I would have waited. That's like that.
Yeah.
This guy got the dick grown on his arm. And
for months.
And then he saw this and he was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I could have just had
and again, it could have been his own cells, his own,
his mom wouldn't have had to offer.
Yeah, to grow it on her arm. Here's a fun little video about medical speak.
This is not English. If you're not in medicine, try reading this. What do you think this means?
77-year-old male came over, son of a bitch, salt and pepper, penis clean-ish, performed Macarena. His heart froze, really excited for this to determine my heart tickler's necessity. Could have already died.
Wait, what?
So for people that you got to see it to so if you're not watching on YouTube, there is this is what like charting looks like in hospitals, right? So they'll say 77-year-old male, right? But they write it down 77YOMALE. And then they have C-O, SOB, S-P, PCI, comma, PMH, colon, HF-EE, T2DM, HTN, comma, CAD. And so all that is just a breakdown of like medical lingo to basically say a bunch of things about this patient, but it's all abbreviated to little like shorthand.
Yeah.
And this guy made this video. It was like, oh, how the fuck can anyone like understand medical speak? This is insane. And some guy just took all the things that were written out and he just put together his own interpretation of what it meant. So now that you know that, just listen to it one more time.
This is not English. If you're not in medicine, try reading this. What do you think this means?
77-year-old male came over, son of a bitch, salt and pepper, penis clean-ish, performed Macarena. His heart froze, really excited for this to determine my heart tickler's necessity. Could have already died.
That's really funny.
It's funny. Maddie sent that to me and said, "This is Jared trying to read medical jargon on Feel Good Fridays."
Yeah. That's it.
Morse Milab.
My favorite part was penis clean-ish because it's PCI.
Yeah.
Penis clean.
You imagine if like it's like what would you do if somebody handed you your own medical chart? You just look at it going,
I don't fucking
fuck
know.
is
what the
this?
fuck
I
this is.
want mine because so my family doctor, who I don't even it feels weird calling him that because I haven't seen him in years, and so he just retired. And like you basically, if you want your charts, then you can go to and pay them like $50 for it or whatever,
Yeah,
and they put it on like a USB stick.
yeah.
And give it to you.
Not a CD.
No, not they. Unfortunately, I think they stopped burning them to CDs 6 months ago,
That's helpful.
and recently just stopped faxing them. Which actually they might
they
still fax them.
probably still fax them.
Yeah. But anyway, you can go and get your charts, and I'm curious. Well, I was curious before I saw this video because I was like, I wonder what it says.
It says that shit.
And it says that shit, and
Yeah.
now I know it's not worth
It's
the
not gonna say
$50
fucking
because
anything.
I'll have to like Google every acronym
Yeah.
and be like,
That'd be
what
like
is
going
this?
and buying.
Or you could send it to me and I'll show it to Kira and she'll go, oh, I know what all this says.
That'd be
Yeah,
like
it's true,
it'd be like
actually.
buying a book in fucking Mandarin
Yeah,
and
actually,
expecting to be able to read it.
Here's a story. It's an unfortunate story. This is from the BBC. Frank Gardner, he said, quote, "It happened again. Why are wheelchair users being left on planes?" So if you use Twitter, you may have seen Frank Gardner tweet his frustration at being left on a plane at the weekend after Heathrow Airport failed to deliver his wheelchair to him when he landed. It's a problem a lot of wheelchair users have faced, but what causes it? Quote, "It happened again, stuck on an empty plane at Heathrow Airport long after everyone else is off," Frank angrily typed on Sunday night from a runway at the UK's largest airport, having arrived from Estonia via Helsinki. Quote, "No staff to get my wheelchair off the plane. I'm so disappointed." Here's the photo. It's kind of a funny photo. Like it's I mean, it's not funny, but it is funny. Like it's, you know what I mean?
It looks like he's on a Zoom meeting and he's just got an airplane background.
Whoa,
yeah.
dude! It definitely looks like an inserted background.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what the flights looked like when COVID started.
Is that somebody way back or no?
That's someone cleaning. That's cleaning staff.
Yeah. The security correspondent's tweet was liked 43,400 times as followers sympathized or expressed their shock at the incident. While many wheelchair users told the BBC's Access All podcast they had often experienced similar incidents, Heathrow Airport cited COVID-19 as the problem. Ben Ferner experienced the same thing just weeks earlier at a different British airport. He was left on a plane while someone went in search for his mobility scooter.
Guys, I don't know about. I can't imagine that the UK is so dramatically different from Halifax in the way that if you're walking around Halifax, you wouldn't know that COVID exists.
Yeah.
That's
Like
true.
from a social standpoint, it's
Yeah.
not like COVID. It's like okay,
how is COVID
sure.
preventing you
Yeah.
from making sure the
Yeah.
fucking guy's
It's not
wheelchair
like-
is where it needs to be?
It's not like there's fucking. It's not like people are running around with their heads cut off like fucking chickens
Yeah.
because COVID's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that,
I would
that
also-
is a bullshit excuse.
I would also
Sure.
think so. From my understanding, when a plane lands and the passengers get off the plane, don't they do a pass through to like check and see if anything was forgotten? Do a clean, like the cleaning crew comes on. Like how? I don't understand how people like it. It seems to me that the plane is almost never sitting there totally empty without anybody in it.
Yeah.
Like there's usually like
Very
a
rarely.
cleaning person or cabin crew or like some sort of person around that would be like, hey, what about this guy?
I mean, it's not surprising to me. It really doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, it's a fucking airports, man. Airports are just like, fuck, dude. Airports are just always just fucking crazy. Like,
yo, dude, super crazy. You remember the last time one time we were in an airport and you were just clipping your toenails at the gate?
Hey, dude,
like,
I wasn't clipping my toenails at the gate.
The wild goddamn West.
It wasn't clipping my toenails at the gate. We were at we were at a gate that was empty, and we had been traveling for a very long time, and we were in, and there was nobody around.
Sure. And helmets don't save lives, right? Okay.
Guys, honestly, between the two of you traveling, so we have a live shows coming up in Calgary and Vancouver and possibly Edmonton.
Don't even
in
fucking
September.
bring up my coffee thing.
And the
that
fact
has nothing to do
that
with
I have
anything.
to travel with both of you again, and I'm going to be standing in the airport watching you hide your fucking coffee cup in planter pots as you go pee, and watching
so
you
reasonable.
sit and clip your fucking toenails.
No, I have a much better. I have a much no. And what is it? My toenails, my fingernails. Much different story.
No,
and
it
I
was
was
the
your
feet.
toenail?
It was your
No.
nasty ass fucking
You pulled
Frodo
your
looking
socks
feet.
off.
No,
Yes, man.
Yes.
No.
Yes,
at
it
least
was.
Photo
at
evidence.
least-
Photo evidence.
Next
I think
time.
there's a video somewhere. There is a video.
Well, then dig it up. Dig it
Jared,
up.
Yeah,
Jared,
yeah,
at
dig it
least for your benefit, Taylor can watch your coffee cup while you go pee this time while he clips his toenails.
I want to fucking find this.
You're
right
not gonna
now.
get it right now.
I can tell you
Don't
right
get
now
it
because
right
I know
now.
I know where
Dude,
it
that
lives.
was like 4 years ago.
I know where it lives, and I'm gonna repost it.
No,
It's in
send
our
it to me.
archive.
If you're watching
Yeah,
on
yeah,
YouTube right now, Jared, after this, send
I
it to
will,
me,
I
and
will.
I will put it in this video.
You guys are crazy.
So
now.
Ben, the guy that also experienced this, he said it had been agreed that the mobility scooter would have been made available to me at the entrance of the plane, but there was nobody to fetch it. So fetch it up. So I was left. He was offered the use of an airport wheelchair and told he could go to baggage reclaim to collect his scooter. But Ben explains that this is unacceptable. Wheelchairs are often customized and built to personal specifications, and a generic ill-fitting wheelchair won't necessarily support someone in a safe or comfortable way. In the end, when the crew boarded the plane to prepare for the next flight and found Ben still sitting there, the captain intervened and arranged for his scooter to be retrieved. Quote, I was lucky because the captain took a personal and direct interest. That, of course, shouldn't be required. According to the Civil Aviation Authority, the UK's regulator, the responsibility lies with the airport to provide assistance to passengers when they're on the ground. That includes retrieving wheelchairs from the hold and returning them to passengers who have landed.
So now this is making more sense now. I was like, oh, no one sent out a message to send somebody with an airport wheelchair. That's what I thought happened.
No.
So his wheelchair
yes.
was in the cargo, like his own power wheelchair or scooter.
That's Ben. That's this other guy, Ben. Yes, that's his case.
And then that probably, instead of being brought up to him, was probably like put out with a regular.
It was
luggage
like
or some
oversized
shit.
luggage, tossed it on the fucking conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Right.
So then
Okay.
somebody would have to go get a
Yes.
airport wheelchair and then take you
Okay.
to that.
Now, when the system doesn't work or the communication breaks down, it's frustrating, obviously, and it's not always a one-off. Quote, this is now the fourth time this has happened to me in just over 4 years, Frank says. Heathrow Airport says it wants all passengers to have a seamless journey, and it was disappointed for Frank. Quote, we apologize for this, it said, citing COVID-19 and the subsequent impact as the reason. As the airport rebuilds post-pandemic, all organizations across the airport are scaling up resources so that we can get back to operating at a more normal level as quickly as possible.
The truth
Fortunately,
is
the delay Mr. Gardner experienced was a result of the airline's ground handling agents struggling with a colleague shortfall.
Yeah, I was
So
going
they're
to say,
saying short staff.
I was going to say
Right.
that is
That's the COVID thing.
I had a meeting with the airport here recently for the Canoe 22 event that's happening. Long story short, I'm involved with the Canoe Kayak World Championships that are happening this summer in Halifax, and they were saying that like airports around the world are understaffed, and flights are being canceled or massively delayed, and obviously not an excuse for this situation, but like having a severely understaffed airport, you can see how problems like that would happen.
You know
which
what
is
Ben needs to do?
unacceptable.
This is what I do when I fly with my bike. Since I had it lost, I put a one of those tags, those like
Air tags?
Yeah, on it, and then if it's I just regularly check it to see that it's moving along, and especially when I'm like at the gate, I'm checking like is it is it out on the fucking baggage that's at my gate, or is it still like, am I about to board this flight and it's like on the other at another terminal somewhere, and then I can go to the gate agent and say, yo, I can see that my bike is not here and I need it. So AirTag on the.
So
on
you're
the thing.
saying it's Ben's fault?
So that no, I'm saying that as soon as someone is not taking it where it needs to go, you know immediately, and you can alert that right away.
You'd be the most annoying customer, Taylor, coming up to the gate like 30 minutes before your flight, being like, I can still see that my bike is not here, Kyla.
Yeah.
And
yeah, and they're like, my name is.
I say it to Kyla,
Alfred.
and then I tell Kyla to relay my message for me.
She does.
And she does.
Actually, probably to your benefit, because she would be more calm.
But actually, I did do that once, and it was not going to be on the plane, and it got on the plane.
And they were like, "Sorry, sir. Good job."
Yeah, because I was like, I said, "What's the baggage loading situation?" Because I can see that my bike is like way the fuck over here, and it looks like everything's been loaded. And they were like, "Oh shit, let me look into that." Realized that it didn't get on the luggage with everything else.
And you were using an Apple AirTag.
It wasn't an Apple AirTag. It was it's another Tile. Same idea.
Right. Here's an interesting article. Kill Japan's elderly.
Huh.
Kane film probes a chilling idea. So a Japanese filmmaker is shaking the Cannes film audience to its core, which happened just a few weeks ago, I believe, with a dystopian vision of her country in which old people agree to be euthanized to solve the challenge of a rapidly aging population.
Dude, this is Midsommar.
It's called Plan 75 by Japanese director and writer Chi Hayakawa, is based on a very real problem. Japan is the most rapidly aging industrial society, a trend that is causing huge economic and political problems as a dwindling number of younger people must support a growing army of the old. Kind of something we talked about with what's her name? I believe it was Sarah from the demographer from the UN. Close to 30% of Japan's population is over 65. The majority women, and that rate is expected to continue rising in coming decades. In the movie, anybody over 75, like Midsommar, is encouraged to sign up for a deal with the government by which they receive a sum of money in return for agreeing to be euthanized. A collective funeral is thrown in for free. Slick ad campaigns and calls from people with soothing voices are a part of the effort to get people to sign up. Handsome advisors list the small pleasures candidates could afford with the money. You'll be able to go to the restaurant, says one. On the face of it, the government's Plan 75 is full of goodwill and friendliness and pragmatism, but in truth, it is both very cruel and shameful, Hayakawa told AFP in an interview. Quote, the aging of the population is not a recent problem. I've always heard people discussing it, she said. When I was young, a long life was considered to be a good thing. People had respect for older people. That's no longer the case, the 45-year-old director added. Plan 75, Hayakawa's first feature-length film, is full of slow sequences with minimal camera movement. Quote, I wanted the images to be aesthetic and beautiful, as well as cold and cruel, just like the plan itself. Asked how close to today's Japanese reality her scenario is, Hayakawa quickly answered 8 out of 10. She said she said she interviewed older people as part of her research for the movie and discovered that many found merit with the idea of buying financial security with their willingness to end their life. Quote, it would alleviate the stress of wondering how they could survive once they are alone. Choosing the moment and the method of their death could be very reassuring, she said.
I thought in Japanese culture specifically that it was like really dishonorable to take your own life. No?
I think that you might be off on that.
I think it's the opposite.
Yeah,
it's like, honorable too.
It's called seppuku. It's like the act of taking your life if you've dishonored
yourself or your family.
Yeah,
or
right.
like that.
Which is like the honorable thing to do. Tokyo Vice. Did you watch it all?
Yep.
Fuck, man. So good. Such a good show.
Yeah.
Folks, watch
Don't
Tokyo
say that.
Vice.
I've been meaning to watch it.
It's so good.
It's really good.
She said the approach would find support among the younger generations too. If such a plan was on the table today, I believe that many people would accept it, even welcome it as a viable solution, she said. Most young people worry already what the end of their life will look like. Will their basic needs be met? Can they survive once they live alone? Can they afford to age? She said. Instead of blaming the government, Hayawaka said many young people were resentful of the old. They are frustrated and angry because they work hard to support the elderly, but they think that when it's their turn, there may be nobody to support them, she said. What worries me a lot is that we're in a social reality that would very much favor such a radical solution. It's scary. Hayawaka said her film did not presume to offer a solution to handling the age crisis. Quote, but an honest assessment of where we are today could already be a key step, she said.
I think
I really want to see this movie.
I think there's a I was thinking about this today for I don't know why I was thinking about this, but I was thinking about the amount of things that you are capable of accomplishing in a day because of technology and the resources that we have at our fingertips to do things. And so because we become more capable to do more things, then the expectation is that we do more things. And that is much different from previous generations. You know, like if you were going to go back 2 generations to our grandparents, the expectation of the amount of things that were accomplished in the run of a day were far fewer. Not necessarily that they were easier because you had to do less things in a much harder way, but that there was fewer things to do. And I think that is a much less mentally taxing environment to be in when there's fewer things that take longer. And when we live in the world that we live in with technology and the capacity to do 1,000 things a day, then thinking about taking care of people becomes much harder.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think about the example. So it's also funny when you think about like the work week. So like arbitrarily we work 5 days a week and have 2 days as a weekend in a typical work week. That was just made up. Somebody just decided that at some point in time, and we adopted that, and that's how
it was.
The work week
Well,
works.
it was 6 days.
And so
it was 7 days.
And, it's actually been, and some companies now are experimenting with 4-day work weeks.
Do you know the China? Do you know the China rule? It's called 9. It's called 9-9-6.
No,
9 to 9, 6 days a week.
No,
That's
how much they
that's
work?
the expectation in like the tech sector in China is
Okay.
the 996 rule.
That's really funny
So
because I have a similar rule, which is 69, 7, 367. Or 365.
69, 365.
Yeah, that's it. 69,
69
365. 69 every day of the year.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
Well, it's actually 69 KTDA 365. So 69ing
I had
keeps the doctor away
something valuable
365 days a year.
here.
No, you're
valid.
valid.
I forget what it was.
No.
I think it was the point was that so we work for this arbitrary amount of time, but as technology has advanced and we're able to do more, we've never shortened the workday. We just keep it the same. We are expected to do more, like you're saying, Taylor. It's never been more apparent to me than when I worked in real estate and we were adopting this new technology platform for the industry in Nova Scotia.
Technology.
And I was training some of the older realtors in my office, and my boss said to me, you should be working like 8 to 10 hours a day in the beginning, at least to start to build your business. And, you know, you'll be paid basically rewarded for the time that you invest in it because it's your own personal business. But it always blew my mind because other agents who were just starting, who just happen to be older, the average age of a realtor in Nova Scotia is like 56.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Jesus.
And
I feel like the only people who sell homes are under 30.
I think it's because the people who are experiencing success are younger because it's becoming
Social
more,
media.
because you need technology to sort of do marketing, branding, and file the administrative side of things now. And I remember sitting with an agent who had just started as well, who was there in the office working every day, all day, working really hard, but would take 4 or 5 hours to do something on the computer that would take me 15 minutes to do. And I was like, whoa, okay. Like this is crazy. Like if I show up here for 15 minutes, it's basically like me working, half a day relative to this other person. And the crazy thing is though, is when you say that working longer and on specific tasks and doing fewer tasks, then you would be able to be less stressed. I actually feel the opposite about that, because for me, I need constant change or like something to grab my attention unless I'm like hyper focused on something. So,
but if you zoomed out and applied that to the average person,
I think yes. So to the average person, yes. But to me specifically, like I need constant engagement. And if I don't have it from my work, I'll find it in something else. And so
that's why you got to work. You need a workstation.
Or I need medication.
Well, hear me out. I didn't finish. You need a workstation where you have built in a fleshlight, like an automatic fleshlight, into the desk. So you're
that
just
would
sitting
calm
there.
you down, dude. You need to
You
need to jerk off more, dude.
Yeah, man. You just
No,
need to
you don't move. No, the mechanism. moves
yeah,
for you.
it just attacks the table and it just milks you while you work.
Dude, have you ever done that?
No.
Like, have you ever gone? Have you ever?
Fucking
Have you ever
fleshlight?
No. I mean, like, have you ever been fucking scattered and then just been like, I'll just jerk it and see how I feel? Because I bet you would really,
yes,
like,
and
idle, come down to a nice idle.
But the worst thing is, so it's like I'll give another example that's not jerking off, but like same sort of idea is like cleaning your kitchen. Like, I mean,
dude, you got a VR headset.
Very different things. Getting jerked off and cleaning your kitchen are very different things. Now, if you were cleaning your kitchen while you were fucking a sex doll, right?
Right. Now we're getting back to the fleshlight.
Right back to it.
Right.
Or might as well just use a VR headset at that point. Why can't I just have sex with my girlfriend?
Dude, that's a totally different activity.
Then she's not going to be able to work.
I mean, is jerking off?
She's just fucking you your whole workday. That's selfish.
Now, riddle me this.
It's got to go on.
Riddle me this.
Yeah, you need to have a fleshlight that's just going yonk yonk.
Now, riddle me this. We've come a long way. We've come a long way from the aging population of Japan. But before we get back to those sweet people,
we're not. That was over. Yeah, this is over.
Like jerking off and having sex with another human being, like they're two totally different activities. I don't even see them as the same. Like, there's a clear divider between the two activities.
I mean, they're both sex.
I know, but
I have a question though. Yeah. If your partners want to have sex and you've just jerked off, are they disappointed? And if you're not, like, if you've just jerked off and you're like, I don't think I can.
No, I'd keep it to myself.
What? Wait, how?
I just wouldn't say that I jerked off, and I just wouldn't volunteer that information.
You just be like, I'm not in the mood right now, or you
Dude,
would go anyway.
We got mezzy yesterday,
or you just go, yeah, sure, but how about instead of like P and V, I'll just go down on you, like 69.
No,
69 365.
No, you grit your teeth.
KTDA.
You drive that blood down there. You get a boner and you just go.
Brian,
Okay.
we had mezzy yesterday at like 5:00.
Yeah.
Mezza, folks, is a restaurant.
It's a restaurant. We had food yesterday. Brian and I brought food yesterday.
Yes.
I went home. Kyla had dinner basically ready.
Exact same scenario.
I said nothing.
Yeah.
I said nothing.
Did you eat it?
I didn't say
he fucked her.
I didn't say I didn't say I'm not hungry. I didn't say I'm not hungry, and I didn't say I just ate. I just went, oh my God, amazing. And I just ate.
I never.
And I was remarkable.
We gotta wrap this up. You gotta go. You gotta go.
I never lie to Maddie.
It's 6:53.
But she called me yesterday and she was like, I'm hungry. Are we gonna get dinner? And I was standing there waiting for the food. And I was like, I'm good. I just ate. And I was like, oh man.
See,
Oh,
I was a better partner in that scenario.
Well,
you also lied.
No, I omitted.
That's right. There's a difference. Look, we gotta wrap here because Brian, you got a meeting. Before we wrap it up, I've got a wicked what the health, but we're gonna save it for next week. And we've got a little sort of promo to put out here. We had a wonderful gentleman by the name of Nelson who wrote us from out in West Vancouver. It's all about his son Oliver, who's taking part in a CF school walkathon. So our son Oliver has cystic fibrosis, and his school, St. Anthony's in West Vancouver, is hosting a fundraising 5K walkathon on June 10th. That's today. On behalf
of
a
lot to walk.
On behalf of Cystic Fibrosis Canada, there's a link here which I'm going to include in the show notes, so you can donate if you want to be a part of that. We would be very grateful if you could just make reference to this or give it a shout out on your upcoming podcast. This would be the first ever school walkathon in BC to do this for CF Canada. And so far, we've raised $12,000 and counting. We are anticipating the participation of 300 to 500 students, staff, and parents. We're going to have press coverage from the North Shore News, and we are trying to secure the participation of the local MP, MLA, and mayor. And so there you go. Check out the link in the show notes here if you want to be a part of, helping us find a cure for cystic fibrosis and giving Oliver a little bit of a shout out and rooting him on for his 5K walk.
Go Oliver.
CF Canada must be doing like a nationwide push right now because I heard a CF ad on the radio.
Oh, for like getting CF.
Sweet.
I mean, it was really
Get CF.
like,
It's a good time.
It was like
Trikafta's out now.
It was like
Trikafta out now.
It was like, do you want your child to have a fatal disease? Like it was pretty radio.
They go hard, man. Dude, CF Canada. I've always kind of had a gripe with this, but CF Canada, they go hard on the like guilt trip with their promos. I get it. You show a kid drowning, and they go, said, "This could be your kid."
You know what it was? It was actually a better ad for genetic testing because they were like, you know who's walking around with the CF gene?
You.
1 in 5 people.
Yeah, you.
And so, and you know what happens when 2 people with the CF gene fuck? They probably have a CF kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa,
yeah,
this is crazy.
It's true. That's how I ended up the way I am. All fucked up. Folks, thanks for tuning in.
You don't want a kid like this.
Thanks for showing up, folks. We love doing this every Friday. And as always, we're putting out episodes Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. If you want to support the podcast, you can leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, or you can leave a rating on the Spotify mobile app. And if you want to support further, come join our Discord. We've got fun conversations happening every single day over there. Hundreds of our listeners are running that little community that we built up, and it's been a real blast. So check out the Discord link in the show notes as well. And thanks again for supporting the podcast. We love you all.
And if you want to send us that's a great little letter that we just got, and I'm sure there's 1,000 of those things going on. So if you want to let us know about a cool event that's raising money to help kick a stupid fucking disease to the curb, then let us know. Letters at sickboypodcast.com. And if you want to be a guest on the show, go to sickboypodcast.com/contact and fill out the form.
And thanks as always to the folks that make this show happen. A huge shout out to Rich O'Coin for the theme music and to Jeff Lonis, our manager. We couldn't do this without you.
That is it for this week.
I'm Brian.
I'm Taylor.
And I'm Jeremy, and this is Sick Boy.